Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvikhnam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. Shuklam Brahma Vicharasara Paramam Adyam Jagadvyapini Veena Pustakadharinim Abhayadam Jadvyandhakarapaham Haste Sphatikamalikam Vidadhatim Padmasane Sansthitam Vande Tam Parameshwarim Bhagavatim Buddhipradam Sharadam. By the divine grace of Jagan Mata, Divine Mother, Sri Jnanakshi Rajeshwari, we all are today here celebrating the Sanskrit day on this Shravana Purnima, Shravana Masa Purnima. This Purnima is the full moon day which has been chosen to be celebrated as the Sanskrit day, which was introduced in the year 1969 in our country. It also happens to be the same day on which we celebrate the Raksha Bandhan, a very, very beautiful occasion on which people express their brotherly affection, sisterly affection towards one another, even though they may not be related by blood. Without having blood relation, they join together and express their affection to one another. Raksha Bandhan. They tie a beautiful thread of remembrance with maybe a small picture also, could be a small, very beautiful pad which is there indicating the Raksha Bandhan. It is also an assurance of looking after one another in the most committed manner. It also happens to be the International Friendships Day today. So like this, it is just coincidence because the date is different, but this is Shravana Purnima. Shravana Mas Purnima keeps changing if you see the English calendar, but it has coincidentally fallen on this day. So we are here to celebrate this Sanskrit day. Whenever we celebrate a Sanskrit, a particular occasion on a particular day, we are trying to understand why this so much importance has been given to the language of Sanskrit. Samskrita bhashayaha kim mahatvam tasya visheshata ka. What is the speciality of this language? So in order to understand this, first of all, let us understand something about language. Language is the medium of communication between a human being and another human being. So when we say language, there must be some common platform. There must be a common platform. For example, if I want to address a person, the word or the articulated sound which comes, all of us have got the ability to bring out sound from our mouth. We have the ability to bring out sound from our mouth. But if the sound which one brings out is repeated by another, and both intellectually come to a conclusion that this sound represents this particular object, then language has started. The beginning of language is the concurrence of a sound, one sound coming from one person, the same sound when it comes from another person, both of them intellectually agree, intellectually concur that this sound shall represent this object. then it becomes a language, la lingua. It becomes a lingua, bhasha. Otherwise it doesn't become a bhasha. Unless otherwise, for example, if one says P-E-N, pen. So P is a sound, P is a sound, E is a sound, N is a sound. But if the same thing is said by another person, P-E-N, and both of them join together and say it is pronounced as pen, and both of them take the object and say this is a pen. So they show this object, pen. So now both of them have intellectually, tallied the sound with the object. Therefore in future, when anybody says the same sound, pen, automatically the object form is found in the mind. So this particular concurrence of the connotation of a sound, concurrence by two people agreeing, two people agree that this sound in future shall mean this. So in this context, it's very nice to remember, it's nice to recollect the first verse of Raghuvamsha Mahakavyam, authored by Mahakavi Kalidasaha. Mahakavi Kalidasaha has authored a grantha, a book, work by name Raghuvamsha, which is the description of the clan in which Sri Rama was born, but was called as Raghuvamsha because the great king Raghu was a descendant of Sri Rama. And how beautifully he brings the meaning of this language. He says, Vag. The word Vag means speech. Artha means meaning. Iva means like. Sampraktau means connected. Vag Artha means meaning of this speech. Pratipattaye means in order to understand. Jagataha of the world. Pitarau, father and mother. I bow down. Vande Parvati Parameshwarau. This is a beautiful sloka which anybody who learns Sanskrit would have heard this sloka. What is that? Vag Artha Viva Samprukto. Vag Artha Pratipattaye. Jagata Pitarau Vande Parvati Parameshwarau. I bow down to the parents of this universe, Parvati and Parameshwara. I bow down to the parents of this universe, Parvati and Parameshwara, the couple, the divine couple, in order to understand the meaning of speech and its meaning. I bow down to these two people who are joined together, Parvati and Parameshwara are joined together like speech and its meaning, in order to understand the meaning of speech and its meaning. This is a very beautiful composition by Kalidasa. So now we understood what is speech. A word which is articulated from the mouth, a word which is articulated, it produces a memory in the one who is listening to that one, and if he also can articulate that one or need not articulate, but if he can gather what is implied by that word, then there is a communication. So in that sense only, the most beautiful language what Bharat has seen and what today the world also acknowledges as mother of almost all Indian languages, and the provider of many vocabulary for many other languages of the world is Sanskritam. The word Sanskritam, what exactly does it mean? Every word in Sanskrit, every word in the Sanskrit language can be split, or it can be, the etymology can be obtained from a root of the word. Any word in Sanskrit, you can obtain the meaning of that word from the root of the word. There is a root of the word, just like a tree has got a root, just like a plant has got a root, and originally that root had a seed. Just like when you sow a seed in the earth, the seed germinates, Comes out as first small, very small plant, but the plant is not independent, it has got its roots in the seeds itself. So the entire program of the tree is there in the seed. The entire program of that beautiful tree, thousands of trees are there, thousands of different types of plants are there, and each of these 1,000 plants have got a seed from which the entire tree has come out. The program of the tree is there inside the seed. That means if you see a banyan tree or a mango tree, right from the day the seed is sown till the mango tree gives fruits and ripens the fruits and gives us sweet mangoes, the entire program of the mango tree is there in the seed. Similarly, the root of a Sanskrit word, for example, if you say the word Ramaha, which is the first word which every Sanskrit student studies. Every Sanskrit person who learns Sanskrit, who learns the different forms of a noun, he learns the word Ramaha. First word he learns is Rama. What does it mean? Ramaha, what does it mean? What does the word mean? So, there is a root for that. Rama. It comes from the root Rama. What does Rama mean? You might have heard the word Ramanam. You might have heard the Ramana. You might have heard of the word Rati. All they have got at the root in this Rama. What does it mean? To rejoice. Rama. This root Rama means to rejoice, to enjoy, to be blissful. So Ramante yogino asmin niti Ramaha. So the word Rama, if you want to define, the word Rama is defined as per the dictionary as that beautiful being in whom all the rishis blissfully remember and enjoy. That beautiful being, remembering whom the rishis experience joy, is called as Ramaha. So we have the word Rama. Then we have the beautiful cases, the 7 cases, which are required in the sentences. Then Rama, Ramo, we have the singular, dual and plural. So when we see these words, then we understand the structure of the Sanskrit language. So now we know that Sanskrit has got a beautiful structure. And what is the need for a structure? The structure is needed to awaken more and more beauty in the language. The more and more we apply the language, as we go on using the language can be used for oral communication. The language can be used for storing information. The language can be used for storing information for the future generation. Because if I codify something and put it here, and then the next generation comes and reads that, they will understand what has to be done. So language has become now a code for storing information also. So therefore, today if you see, the entire vocabulary, the entire works of almost all languages of Bharat, they have their root in the Sanskrit language. Now we understand that Sanskrit is very, very, very potent. It is potent. It is a very, very rich language, extremely rich language. And how old is the Sanskrit language? If we just ask how old is Sanskrit language, the first written, I'm talking about written, the first written record of any composition in Sanskrit is in the 2nd millennium BC, it is 1500 BC or 2000 BC. So 2000 years before the Christian era. 2000 years before the Christian era is the first written record of Sanskrit text in the Rig Veda. So, if you see the written record means it was written on palm leaves. It was written on palm leaves, or it was inscribed on stones, stone inscriptions you can find. So if you take 2000 years, now today if you take it, already it is 4000 years back, old, at least 4000 years back, the written. And before the written came, who wrote it? When a person writes something, there should be something to see and write, or something to write from the head. If a poem is authored, the poem has to be authored from what words are coming in the mind, but the original writings, it should be in the mind of somebody. So the ones who had it in their mind, they were the rishis, and how many generations have passed without writing, nobody knows. So if you take approximately 4,000 years as the written, another 4,000 years you add, 8,000 years or even 10,000 years also, nobody can say how many years have passed since it was orally transmitted. It was orally transmitted from mouth to ear. The rishi gives it to the students, they hear it and they pass it on from mouth to ear, mouth to ear. So from the oral tradition, Sanskrit has till today it's been maintained in that beautiful form. Now Sanskrit has two different types of language. Sanskrit itself has got two different types of forms. One is called as the Vedic Sanskrit. The other one is called as the classical Sanskrit. So the Vedic Sanskrit, in the Sanskrit language itself, it's called as Vaidikam, Laukikam cha. Vaidikam and Laukikam. Vaidikam is pertaining to the mantras of the Vedas. Laukikam is pertaining to the language which is used for every other thing other than the pujas. Other than the puja or the worship of Paramatma, that is Vedic. Now, after a deeper study and after more and more understanding, people have come to understand that in addition to the Vedic, there is also called as Agamic. So Vedic, when we say it, it also includes Agama Shastra. So Vedic Shastra and Agama Shastra, those are all used for worship. What is not used for worship, for colloquial conversation or for literature or for technological information, to store technological information, that is also called as Laukika Sanskrit. Laukika or worldly Sanskrit or classical Sanskrit in English we say. Now when we take a language, when we hear the children speaking, when a child is just beginning to speak, the articulation is not complete. So the tongue doesn't move exactly as the sounds what we are already using. Remember, the elders are already using a language. For example, I want milk. I want milk is an English statement. If I say I want milk, so the child will say, I want milk. Because I and want is not articulated by the child. So that language is called as Prakrita Bhasha. The improperly articulated language is called as Prakrita. The correctly articulated language is called as Samskrita. The word sam means refined. The word sam means refined. Prakrit means as nature would have it. Prakrit comes from Prakriti. So Prakriti makes us produce some sounds. So these sounds are automatically, they come from the mouth. Then what happens is, sometimes one sound may be the same, it may be exactly spoken by the other or approximately spoken by the other. You know, we all know that the letter va is used in Sanskrit like Chakravarti. Chakravarti means an emperor. Chakravarti is an emperor. He is present in many places, therefore is called as Chakravarti. Gradually, when the Bengali language took this sound, because of the articulation being slightly different in that region, it became Chakraborti. Chakraborti. So you see, the va has become ba. The va has become ba. Same way, if you take the name of the place where we are now, Bengaluru, the word Bangalore is not at all an Indian word. Bengaluru is not at all an Indian word. Bengaluru has come from Bendakaluru. The original name of Bengaluru is Bendakaluru, which is Kannada, which means boiled gram. The place where gram was boiled. So it is Bendakaluru. So the people who came here, the English people, did not know how to pronounce that one. They wanted to make it convenient to the English language, so made it as Bangalore. Then Bendakaluru itself, the word Bendakaluru itself, in Kannada it became Bengaluru. Bendakaluru itself, in Kannada language itself, it became Bengaluru. From Bengaluru, was very odd for the English people, so they made it as Bangalore. So see, this is how, these are called as Tadbhava Shabdas, born from the original words, not Tatsama, Tadbhava, born from that. Similarly, you take Mysore. If you take the word Mysore, M-Y-S-O-R-E is a convenient. It's a convenient spelling made by the foreigners. But that is not the original word. What is the original word? Mahishuru. Mahisha means Mahishasura, where Devi Durga, she slew Mahishasura. That was the place. That was Chamundeshwari's temple is there. So from Chamundeshwari temple, the original name Mahishuru became Mysuru. So word Thiru Anantapuram. Anantapuram, one kind of Ananta means where Bhagavan Narayan is lying on the Ananta Shayana, on the Naga, on the serpent Ananta. So it was called Thiru, means sacred. Ananta, endless. Puram is place. It was Thiru Anantapuram. Slowly it became Trivandrum. Trivandrum it became. So you see, like this you have so many words which all have their origin in Sanskrit. That is why Sanskrit is called the mother of all languages. And Sanskrit also was systematized for application purposes. For example, whenever we talk about English language, we generally quote. If you want to learn English grammar, you see the Wren and Martin. Generally say. And then we want dictionary means you say Collins Dictionary, Cambridge Dictionary, Oxford Dictionary. We have certain standard dictionaries which we use as a reference. But if you take Sanskrit, language Sanskritam, which will you refer to for the exact formation of the words, for the exact grammar of the words, for the parts of speech, which will you refer? So the Moola, the basic reference book, the basic reference for Sanskrit grammar is Ashtadhyayi of Panini Rishi. The Ashtadhyayi of Panini Rishi. Panini Rishi is supposed to have lived in the year 500 BC, again 500 years before the modern Christian era. So in that period, 500 BC, Panini Rishi was there. And how it happened, Panini, he also had a co-student, Patanjali Rishi, and all other student was Katyayana Rishi. So 3 rishis, they were together, they were studying together in the Ashrama or with another teacher, Guru. It so happened was Panini was quite dull-headed. So Panini went and propitiated Lord Shiva. He went and sat down and did tapasya in order to have darshan of Shiva. He said, I want to remove my dull-headedness. I must remove my dullhead. So he sat down and said, prayed to Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva appeared and he had the Damaruka in his hand. Lord Shiva had the Damaruka in his hand. The moment he appeared, he sounded the Damaruka as a blessing to Panini Rishi. And from the Damaruka came out 14 sounds. 14 sounds came out from the Damaruka, the beautiful kettle drum, what is in a small drum. He sounded the drum and then 14 sounds came from there. Those sounds were I, Ril, R, E, O, I, O, Hayavara, La, Nyamanganana, Jaba, Khadadha, Khapa Shatata Khapa, Kapai, Shashasa, Ha. These are the sounds which came from the Damar. Immediately the more sounds came and he gathered some system in those sounds. Please understand, these are all by tapasya. The 14 sounds came, they are called as Chaturdasha Maheshwara Sutrani. The 14 sutras or the formulae or aphorisms which were received from Shiva, Maheshwara. Then Panini Rishi sits down once again and then he meets Nandi Bhagavan, who is already a big scholar. Then Nandi Bhagavan tells him to add one more letter at the end. Then it became 14 sutras. With those 14 sutras, Panini Rishi then elaborated them into 3,960 sutras. These 14 sutras became 3,960 sutras, and these 3,960 formulae, abbreviated abbreviated aphorisms, sutras. They form the basis for today whatever Sanskrit we are using. And they are the basis for all the Sanskrit words which have been taken in every single language. There are 62 words which mean water only. 62 synonyms for water. Jalam, Vari, up. Like the word Panjab, I told you earlier also. Pancha-ab comes from the word Punjab word comes from Pancha-ab, which 5 waters. The 5 rivers which are there, from there only Pancha-ab has come. So the names of the states in India, for example, the name of the country itself is Bharatam. It's a Sanskrit word. The name of the country Uttara Pradesha is Sanskrit. Madhya Pradesha, Sanskrit. Arunachala Pradesha is Sanskrit. Maharashtra is Sanskrit. Similarly, you take many other things, but after slowly, gradually, there was the mixture of other languages also. And in the south also, you see Andhra Pradesha. Andhra Pradesha. If you take the other words also, the word Telanga also has come from Sanskrit. So every Bihar is from Vihar. Bihar is from the word Vihara, which is Sanskrit again. So like this, Gujarat. Gujarat is from Gurjara Pradesha. Gurjara Pradesha is Gujarat. So when you see all these words coming from Sanskrit, you understand that Sanskrit is the root of all the languages. So today, by celebrating the Sanskrit Day, we are recollecting our heritage. And Sanskrit has got a very, very specific name called as Devavani. It is the language of the gods. When you say it's the language of gods, it means the language, the most refined language by which we can communicate with God. That is why even till this day, right from the origin of the country of Bharat, if you can remember, 99% of the pujas will be conducted only in Sanskrit. Even till this day, the worship of God is conducted only in Sanskrit language. If you say Ramaya Namaha, Krishnaya Namaha, Shivaya Namaha, Durgaya Namaha, all these are Sanskrit words only. So let us pray to Bhagavati Jagannatha Rajarajeshwari that she gives us the ability to understand this language with more depth, and let us also pray that all the future generations, because today Sanskrit is being taught even in foreign countries because they have seen the value of Sanskrit. Even, for example, the St. James School in London, their Sanskrit is compulsory up to the 5th standard. Why would a foreign country take this language? Because they see the value of this language. They see the articulation. When one articulates this language, one develops more power, brain power, as well also the ability to articulate other languages also. So we offer this talk on Sanskrit today at the lotus feet of Bhagavati Saraswati, who is the origin of all knowledge. Hari Om Tat Sat.